In recent times, the African woman has been placed in the context of the family, crippling her ability to make vital contributions to political, societal, and even personal goals and ambitions, especially in patriarchy-rigid societies. However, historical accounts of pre-colonial African societies recall the feats of female warriors like Queen Amani-Renas, Queen Amina, and the Dahomey Amazons, who ruled empires and led men to war. Here are 7 African female warriors you should know. Number 7. Queen Ranavalona of Madagascar. Queen Ranavalona was adopted into the royal family as a reward for her father's service to the crown. She later became the queen after the king's son, Radama, made her his first wife. However, following the death of the king, Ranavalona ascended the throne after killing all potential successors. She ruled Madagascar for 33 years in a reign that was deemed fierce and brutal, especially to Christians who were stripped of their rights to worship. Nonetheless, her resistance to the European forces and movement remains commendable. Number 6. Queen Nani, widely accepted as a native of Ashanti, present-day Ghana. Nani was kidnapped in her early years and forced into slavery in Jamaica. She later escaped and became the leader of the Windward Maroons in Jamaican Blue Mountain in the early 18th century. Nani formed a formidable force that would fight the guerrilla war against the British, and this became the first Maroon War, which lasted for many years until the British were outnumbered and weakened. As the very last of it, they sued for peace, and the treaty was signed on April 20th, 1740. Nani is the only national female hero in Jamaica who is remembered to this day as an image of hope and resilience. Number 5. Ya Ashantewa. She was appointed Queen Mother by her brother Kwesi Afrane, the king of Edwesu. More than being the king's advisor, Young Ashantewa was the custodian of the golden stool of the Ashanti kingdom, which is part of modern Ghana. After the king was captured and exiled by the British, Ashanti nation became divided and considered surrendering their allegiance to the British governor, Sir Frederick Hodgson, who also requested the golden stool. It was at this moment that Ya Ashantewa took on her fighting shoes. She challenged the chiefs of Ashanti and reminded them of the ancient chiefs like Osei Tutu, Okomfo Anokie, and Opoku, who would lay down their lives than surrender to the white men. The Queen Mother further dared to lead women to war if the men had lost hope in Ashanti, which of course she did. She led over 5,000 armies against the British for the 5th and final Anglo-Ashanti War, which is considered the most brutal war and remembered as the Ya Ashanti War. Though her armies were outnumbered and she was finally captured, she is remembered in present-day Ghana as a patriotic, brave, and courageous female warrior. Number 4. Queen Nzinga Mbandi. Nzinga became the queen of the Matamba and Ndongo kingdoms after her brother committed suicide in 1624. Though her reign as queen was initially resisted in line with the tradition of Ubuntu against female rulers, her diplomatic tactics saw her take the crown and rule for 4 decades. After she became queen, the Portuguese colonialists rubbished an earlier treaty and declared war, which forced Nzinga to flee her kingdom alongside her people. They headed for the kingdom of Matamba, which they attacked and captured their queen and routing their armies. Nzinga's victory over the Matamba made her their new leader. Following this, she formed a great force including runaway slaves, defecting soldiers, and women that will fight a trench war against the Portuguese, which lasted for 30 years. Within these years, Nzinga formed an alliance with the Dutch and acquired over 50 Dutch elite soldiers armed with rifles. She emerged victorious in 1644, 1646, and 1647, until Dutch armies were defeated and had to move out of the region in 1648. Nonetheless, she continued fighting with her people until 1657, when she signed a peace treaty with Portugal. Nzinga spent her last days rebuilding her land until she died in 1663 at the age of 81. Number 3. Queen Amina of Zazo. The warrior queen, as many have named her, was the Queen of Zozo in the present Zaria, Nigeria. She is said to have ruled for 35 years between 1576 and 1610 after the death of her brother. During her reign, she led men to war and fought many battles which was mostly victorious. Through this, she expanded Zozo to Ida, Nupe, and Kano. She also built walls around the territories she conquered, some of which still stand until this day. Aside from her fighting prowess, Amina also fostered the growth of trade and commerce by creating trade routes across Western Sudan, Egypt, and Mali. Number 2. Ahosi, the Dahomey Amazons. Before Dahomey Kingdom became a French protectorate, the ancient kingdom was protected by females who led the armed forces and were known as the Ahosi or the Dahomey Amazons. These women fought many wars, including the fight against the Europeans. Unfortunately, they slowly declined in number after the First and Second Franco-Dahomean Wars, leading to their disbandment. It is said that only 17 out of 430 Amazons came back alive. Nonetheless, several depictions of their stories have been reflected by African societies, including the television series Zena and the Woman King historical film. Number 1. Queen Amanirenas, known as the One-Eyed Queen. Amanirenas was known as the Queen of Kush in present-day Sudan, and history remembers her as one of the greatest queens to have ever existed. Amanirena's reign was accompanied by a series of wars that charged her as a fierce queen and warrior. She became a great force after leading about 30,000 Kushite armies to a battle against the Roman Empire, which was led by Caesar Augustus. Though stories of Augustus' victory across Egypt were spine-breaking, Amanirenas made her marks on the battlefront. Following her victory, she got a major statue of the Roman Emperor Augustus destroyed and further mocked him by burying the statue's head at the entrance of her royal palace. While many accounts report that the emperor signed a peace treaty, we can assert that he fully surrendered to the One-Eyed Queen and accepted all her demands, including withdrawal from the Kushite territories. Are there African female warriors we left out? Let us know in the comments box. Do not forget to like and subscribe.